Hey, Dewey.
Dewey, welcome. Thank you for being here this evening, and look forward to your comments. I've heard them several times.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and fellow board members, commissioners. I'm here today to give a presentation on the tuna, gassing of carbon monoxide tuna in the seafood industry of imports into this country. And I attended the Outer Banks Seafood Festival last year in October, and I ate some gassed tuna, and it kind of ticked me off a little bit. I went to a local restaurant thinking I was going to eat some yellowfin tuna, and it was also gassed. And so I started doing some research on why doesn't the public know it's gassed, and why does it have to be showed that, or does it have to be showed that? And so in your packet of information, I believe you'll have the top copy, a picture of two pieces of tuna. One on the right is bright red, glowing, looks awesome. It's gassed. The one on the left is natural, so over time it will deteriorate, and that's wild caught natural tuna, like the commercial fisherman in North Carolina would catch. And so when I did my research, I started reaching out to the community, the chamber, the tourism board. Also went and gave a little presentation and spiel to the Consolidated Health Board. Also contacted my congressman, Walter Jones, and asked his staffers about some information about the FDA labeling. And what's interesting, and also gave Chairman Woodard a piece of gassed tuna to show around. And what it says on there, as long as that fish is in a package, it has to be labeled gas. Well, nobody goes to a restaurant or to a seafood market and buys a package of fish. Once you cut that package, there's no requirements to tell the public that it's been gassed, none whatsoever. This particular treatment that's called, you can Google it for the Googlers, and you can look up there under gas tuna, tailpipe tuna, and it's a process that's been banned in Canada, Japan, and the European Union because it masks how old the fish is.
Yes.
The FDA has approved it, but they also have approved it that the labeling on the package has to be there. And so I'm working through the process, it's a process of getting answers on why did the FDA say it had to be labeled in the package, but once you cut the package, it doesn't have to be labeled. And the scary part for this, not only as a commercial fisherman and a consumer, is that, the public, they believe us when we go somewhere to eat and it says fresh yellowfin tuna or something like that. Well, it's not the case here. And so what I'm looking at is, I don't think this board or our state has the power to do something in the language, but I'm looking to the feds about some interpretation of the language, and hopefully in the future, maybe some way to tell the public that this is gas fish. And something else that's kind of scary, yellowfin tuna is important to our recreational, commercial, and charter fish here in North Carolina. And all it would take would be one episode of somebody getting sick or something happened, and the press would, tuna, and it's been gassed, or somebody got sick, and you might not have charters, or you might not have people wanting to eat the tuna. It is prevalent in other species of fish similar to mahi. All of it that I've seen is always imported. And you'll see catchphrases on your tuna as ahi tuna, which is labeled there. Ahi is like a grade of tuna from Hawaii. You also see on your picture sashimi, which sashimi is nothing but raw fish. So I call it deceptive wording, adjectives, to sell a product that's not telling I'm not here to be the tuna police, and I'm not here to stop the people from selling it. But I am in an effort, and also with Outer Banks Catch, to highlight the difference between gas tuna and wild caught natural that we catch here in our county and our fishermen depend on, and so does our local economy, a lot of it. There's two separate here. You can go eat the gas fish if you choose to eat carbon monoxide fish. I doubt the public will if they know that. Or you can have wild caught fish that you see here in the picture here that will go bad after time. Also believe that it's probably pretty good marketing ploy to put a few pieces of turning brown color fish here at $1 a pound higher and showing the rosy red fish on the right-hand side at $1 a pound cheaper. Well, not many people don't buy with their eyes. So you're going to buy that rosy red piece of fish that looks red all the time. And it's something that's getting more prevalent. You know, the U.S. fishermen cannot fill the void of feeding all the people in the United States. 90% of our income, or 90% of our seafood is imported in. And the trouble with that is you have the standards and the inspection rate is like 1 to 2%, if even that. So we're just an accident waiting to happen with our food products from all countries. There's millions of pounds that's turned away every year in the shrimp industry that's imported in because it doesn't pass the test of you know, for the sampling and chemicals into this. So today I was just hoping to educate you a little bit. I went around, you know, to the different channels and tried to educate the public. It's just something that kind of hacked me off. I should have known better because it had been blowing for 3 weeks and I knew nobody had been fishing. But I still, you know, I wasn't thinking very clearly there. But it is something that's going to be more prevalent, and it's something that I'm hoping that my industry will be able to parse out what we do. Our seafood is the best. And so what we do and what we catch is wild caught natural, and let the other folks, vendors or purveyors of that gas fish do whatever they want to with theirs. But it is educating the public. And I appreciate the time, and if anybody's got any questions. And also, Chairman Woodard, at the end of the session here, is going to give somebody that piece of tuna, whoever has the best comments today.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. That's exactly right. I'm reading it, and Dewey's right. This particular package is frozen raw ahi tuna, and it's wild caught product of Indonesia. And it clearly states on the ingredients, it says tuna and carbon monoxide. And in parentheses, it says added as a preservative to promote color retention. And as you can see, it's a colorful piece of tuna. But Dewey, my question is, has there, and I don't see an expiration date on this packet other than to the left-hand corner it says EXP, and I don't know if that means expiration, but it's got 17 HRs. That's 17 hours. I don't know.
I don't know that.
I don't know what that means.
I didn't look on my box that I
Right.
blew up regretfully.
But my question to you is, are there any data that shows what, if any, effects gassing with carbon monoxide has on the product itself?
I think that if you look on the very last page of your handout, I'm hoping it says Giants Journal of Food Science, and it says conclusions. What it tells about is how is it, you know, how it works to enhance the color, and during the time period, the one that was gassed, the color stays longer. You could take that piece of tuna and sit it up there on your podium there and leave it till your next commissioner meeting, and it'll still look the same.
Wow.
And so my experience was I was given a sample one time, and I left it, coming from fishing, I left it in the back of my truck for 3 days and some old T-shirts, and I pulled it out, and it still looked rosy red.
Wow.
And so that was a few years ago.
And this is frozen, and that's even after it thaws.
Oh, yes,
in
sir.
the packet.
Yeah. And you know, the public, they might want to eat gas fish, but I think they'd want to know.
Right.
I beg to
Absolutely.
differ probably, but you know, it might be the new going thing. Let's go get us some gas fish.
Right.
And you know, when you're eating sushi or sushi restaurants and stuff like that, or different things that there would be that, you know, when you put enough ingredients in something, you don't taste the tuna. That's why they call it tasteless tuna.
Right.
And so just, you know, if people want to follow along, just Google gas fish, and you can educate yourself on the internet in all different ways about it, you know.
Well, and they even state on here, vitamin A, 0. Calcium, 0. Vitamin C, 0.
Yeah, well, the process of gassing, that's why they call it tasteless tuna.
Yeah.
They had to hold workshops some of your big marketers of the gas tuna had to hold workshops to figure out how to make it to taste good. Because it's once you put the carbon monoxide, it's just kind of like a little piece of rubber fish. It does not have no taste,
Right.
Compared to what we catch.
Well, there's some other questions, but while I'm holding this, it's certainly starting to thaw.
Yeah.
So I will pass this down to my fellow commissioners to take a look at it. And I believe Vice Chairman Overman had a question.
Dewey, you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but other fish are also gassed. It's not just tuna.
Yes, sir.
And so it's basically a process to make any fish continue to appear fresh.
Yes, sir. If you look on your second page, I believe of the handout, you'll see mahi, where it looks natural, and the other one looks CO treated. And so, you have other things that are imported, and it's all imports that I see, and in my looking over stuff, it's all imports that come in here that they have to do this because the standards by which they harvest the fish in other countries is nowhere near the standards by which I have to fish by or my fellow fishermen. So that's another thing, I'm trying to think of red flags that somebody would look at. So some that you're pretty precise on that you could look at, well, it's imported. Well, a lot of things are imported, but what does it say on the package, frozen at sea? Well, that's probably one red flag that you would see if it was, gassed or something like that. But as long as it's in that package, the law says it has to be gassed. I haven't got to why when you cut the package you don't have to label it that way. So
on the picture of the mahi in here, there seems to be a common denominator that when it's gassed, it tends to turn red.
Yeah, it would be like a watermelon or burgundy like cranberry. So if you saw cranberry, it's probably not gassed because the gassed fish doesn't have the cranberry color to it, the burgundy color.
The bright red color is kind
Yes,
of
sir.
indicative of a gassed fish.
Yeah, gas fish, but also, and I'm not a gas expert, but I do know that most of it's from imports, and so you do have to country of label and of origin. So that gives you a few. It's kind of bad when you got to go to your seafood counter and say, well, let me get my checklist out here. Does it do this? Does it do this? Does it do this? And I'm still not sure. So hopefully in the future with Outer Banks Catch and some of the things that we're working on would be to set our standards that what we do, here's what the fish we produce and here's how to tell what you're getting from Outer Banks Catch members or people that would buy into membership. So that would be one way, and to put in some type of program or something that's not real onerous, but hey, are you really using that? You got that logo, are you really using this fish? Some checks and balance per se. You can't go be the tuna police everywhere, but this is important to the public because we got all types of visitors and tourists that come down here to consume our seafood, and I don't like the part of the fish that we catch in our industry selling the gas fish. So the marquee on the board will say Wanchese tuna are fresh, and it's not Wanchese tuna are fresh. It's been somewhere else. But I think that's going to work out as the public as we educate them. I don't think this is something that we can do by legislation or spending millions of dollars. It's educating the public and doing it right and slow, and they'll come to the conclusion of which to choose from, hopefully. Any other questions or anything?
Yeah, Commissioner Boswell and then Commissioner Shea.
Dewey, thank you for coming and educating the public. And my question and concern is every year, unfortunately, I have patients that have a seafood reaction. So are they having a reaction to the seafood or are they having a reaction to the carbon monoxide?
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I would say go to your local doctor or Google it or figure something else out. I'm not here for their reaction. That's above my pay grade. So I don't know that part.
It's something I think would merit for us to look into. It kind of scares me that I'm treating a patient for a seafood allergy and it could be something totally different because we would treat them differently. I'll have to look into that as well with you, and we'll come back and report to the board what we find out.
Absolutely. That's I like that. Commissioner Shea?
Okay. when tuna or any other fish turns color, brown, whatever, it's usually because it reacts with oxygen in the air. Carbon monoxide is much more active in tying up the receptors in tissue than oxygen. So that's the reason why it stays pink. So.
Yeah, absolutely, because I was impressed by forgetting it in my truck in the package and it staying red. And also a few years ago, I believe in '05, I went to our Marine Fishery Commission and they let you speak for 3 or 5 minutes or something, and I carried a couple pieces of tuna. One I caught, I vacuum packed, and one I went to a chain market in bulk and let them stay there for 3 days and watch the natural, wild caught natural piece. You know, it's about telling the public what's in that product. Just sitting to go look at all the labeling, but I know that, you know, we are consumers of seafood on the Outer Banks. You have two choices. You got imports, possibly gassed, and you also got wild caught natural. And I'm of the catcher of the wild caught natural, and also I like to eat wild caught natural fish. I don't want gas fish, and I like to be told of it.
Right.
But I appreciate y'all's opportunity to speak before y'all, and thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Dewey, and thank you for your research and what you're doing. Warren?
Dewey, I just echo the thanks to you. You work in this industry and you're so dedicated to it, and the people don't know how many committees you serve on and the hours, probably hundreds of hours each year you give of your time to make your industry better. And I've seen you in action for many years, and I appreciate what you do. And to your question about maybe people like eating gas fish, I don't think we know it. By your own research, it has to be on the package when it comes in the back door. But when you cut it open and put it on the plate, there's no rule that warning carries forward. So I don't think we're making that conscious choice as consumers. We just don't know it.
Well, I believe over time, like anything, I would rather run before I crawl.
Yes, sir.
But it's just something that's going to be a slow process to educate the public. But you have to do it right, and you have to take the time, because it's not there to scare them. It's just there to, there's other alternatives, but it's also, it's your choice, and your choice is to be told.
Well, one of the basic founding principles of Outer Banks Catch was educating.
Yeah,
and educating the public in every aspect. Yeah. So this is we got a vehicle out there, and we just all need to support it.
And I think in the future you're going to see that avenue and venue of Outer Banks Catch. If you want that logo, it's going to be because you're
absolutely
using that product or something. Yes. I appreciate it, and y'all have a good day.
All right, thank you, Dewey.
Thank you.